WinterFest has returned to Kings Island with all the sparkle, lights, and magic we wait for every year. But this holiday season, something is different. A familiar tradition, one many guests count on as part of their holiday visit, has quietly disappeared. No announcement, no explanation, just gone. On this episode of Tower Topics, we're peeling back the tinsel to talk about the WinterFest Curveball no one saw coming, and what it means for guests this year. Stay tuned. The story starts now.
Happy holidays. I'm Don, he's Ryan, and this is Tower Topics.
Yeah, let's kick this off by thanking our Prestige members. I want to give a big shout out to Miss Mandy, 1983, Lil Mac, 21, Brian Hauser, 330T, Aaron Bort, Jacob Fix, Damon Barnes, Dakota Cole, Eric Grau, Dustin Jackson, Songstress Miku, Medic 302, Eastern Coaster, guys and girls, Justin Y, Mike Garrett, Galaxy B-Boy, and Greg Eversol. Thank you guys so much for supporting Tower Topics at the highest level. That's the Prestige level. If you want to be involved in Tower Topics, there's a link in the description. Members get early access to the videos, exclusive content, exclusive live streams. Some tiers even get some free stuff. So hit that link if you're interested, starting at just $2.99 per month. And it's the best way to support the show, besides just watching. We appreciate that too.
You're going to need a couple of screens there, the way it's been growing. You know, we get a few people. Seems like every week someone else becomes a member. Yeah. You could shrink the font, I guess, a little bit. But, Ryan, the WinterFest is underway. A lot to be really excited about with it. But there is one thing that has created a bit of disappointment to kick off the event, and that is that there's not an opportunity this year for guests to enjoy a meal up in the International Restaurant where you just have a spectacular view of International Street. It's one of the highlights for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, so it's one of those things where it was kind of pragmatic anyway before. And it seemed like any night that you wanted to do it, it wasn't available because they also use it for like group sales and stuff like that. But it is a little disappointing to see that they weren't doing it this year at all. But I actually took advantage of it every single year that they offered it. Here's a photo. This is probably from New Year's Eve, but I wanted to share that.
Yeah, and you and I had talked about, I guess it was in the summer, that, we'll have to have a meal up there one night, maybe get some great photos and that, but have a meal up there and then come back and do an episode talking about it. Why you want to do that. It wasn't on the dining plan. There was a discount for season pass holders, but it was still something that, especially, the grandparents and that come with the kids and that they don't like to be out in the cold. Nobody likes to be out in the cold, but something where they could go up and, just kind of relax a little bit. The meal was always, really good, with the buffet and that they had up there. So it's kind of, you understand why. It was, like you said, sporadic when it was available anyway. There might have been 5 or 6 nights where guests could actually do it. But it's still something that, when it was open, people wanted to do it. And were you a little bit surprised when you found out they weren't going to offer it any nights this year except for New Year's Eve?
It's hard to say. I'm torn because on one hand, it's an opportunity to make a fair amount of money off of people. They were charging about $35 for this meal, so it's a good opportunity. On the other hand, though, we talked about it at length last year about how, there were times when we planned on going, like me and my friends would be like, we're going to do the buffet Saturday night, and you get there and it's not open. Now they listed the dates on the app and stuff like that, but they were subject to change, and they did change. So they were. It's not like they chose not to do it or whatever. It was like, they had General Electric or somebody come in and rent it out. But it's a matter of do it or don't do it. I always thought that it would probably be better if they could do it both. They do have the old carousel room, and then they have the main ballroom.
Mm-hmm.
So they could use the main ballroom for the group sales and then the carousel room for the food people. I assume that would be easy enough unless the group filled up both. I don't know. I don't know enough about the situation to really speculate, but I do think it's kind of a missed opportunity. I really do.
I do too. And it's just one of those things that, is part of the WinterFest experience. you get up there, and like we've talked many times about just the view that you have of International Street. I mean, so picturesque. You see a lot of Kings Island fans that took advantage of this over the past few years. And you see
Mhm.
the things that they post on social media, a lot of posts about, just the visuals that are up there, or it's the header image on their Facebook page because it's such a great shot and stuff. So you
Yeah.
lose a little bit of that. Um, but, I think the one thing that you always, you would hear too back from the park sometimes is that um, it was hard to communicate it, when it was open, when it
Mhm.
wasn't. I mean, is it really hard to communicate? You've got a website, you've got a mobile app, you got social media, you got some people you could, you know, ask to have posted on the Facebook group for you and stuff. So there was
Yeah.
a lot of ways to get that information out there that wasn't really utilized, in the past years. And there's a little sign outside the window of the international restaurant. I would say it's open tonight or something. There might be something on the website, but it was hard to dig through on the website to find things. Wasn't clear on the mobile app. Another thing that was kind of cumbersome trying to figure out, the different pages and that, what was open and what wasn't open during Winterfest. So it was a little bit difficult in that respect, but you could still, like I said, you got that Facebook group, utilize it. Those are the people that were going to go up there and enjoy the meal. And that's where you're seeing the negative sentiment, is on the Kings Island season pass holder Facebook group. That's where they're talking about, I was so looking forward to that. I'm disappointed about this. So I don't know, what went into that decision. I just think it's sometimes, it's easier for the park not to do it. They don't think about what would be great for the guests, what would add to the experience. It's what's easier for us, to do. It's like the meatloaf burger, moving from the Miami River Brew House to Jukebox Diner. It's probably a little easier for the park to do that over at Jukebox, but not so good for the guests because there are times where it's backed up and everybody wants to get it at the same time, and it takes a little while to get it. They can't keep up with the demand at that point in time, and you're just standing there the way that queue works there, and other people are trying to get something else, and it just backs everything up, and then you have to go out in the cold and eat it. So I don't know whoever made those decisions wasn't thinking about the guest experience in that respect. And I think sometimes that happens with things like the international restaurant where you're not putting yourself in the shoes of the guest, and asking yourself what would really elevate the experience for a guest. Well, yeah, that would be a meal up in the international restaurant, and find a way to really blow that out of the water. And like I said, there's other ways you can communicate that information to make sure people are aware of, when it is open. And I like your idea of splitting it up, where the carousel room is for one part of it, and the group sales can have it in the other room.
Yeah, and so for those who don't know what we're talking about, when you're looking at the international restaurant from the ground level, the main ballroom's the center. That's the big one that seats about 110 or so. On the right side, it's not themed to carousels anymore, but to me, it's still the carousel room. That's that other room that I think they did desserts, or actually, the picture that I had, I believe, was of the carousel room. Let me pull it up again.
Yeah, pull it back up.
Yeah, that's the carousel room. Um, so that's the carousel room, and then it's an office now on the left side of the ballroom from the ground level. But that used to be the Linder room. I guess
Hmm.
that's where Carl Linder had an office or something. Um, but yeah, and it's funny because a lot of it has to do with not empathizing with the guests. I agree. A lot of people are going to come back with like, well, they're stomping their way out of making money, and that's true. But I think that what they probably had in mind was this isn't enough to move the needle. A couple $1,000s a
No,
night
it's
for.
I would call it an added value
Mhm.
situation here with this. It's an added value. No one's buying a ticket to Kings Island specifically to have a meal up there or planning their visit if they're a pass holder specifically for that. For the most part, there might be a couple here and there, but it's added value. When you have an opportunity to go up there, and there's very few opportunities to go up there, which made it even more special during Winterfest. That was the time of year that you could do it.
When they replace it with the Grand Pavilion, in my vision, they're gonna have it open every night for Winterfest, just for the record.
The more I think about your vision, Ryan, the more I like that idea of expanding it out a little bit and having the deck and everything up there. I think that you know, it gets me more excited thinking about what could be up there. But since you
Yeah.
brought it up, for those that don't know, explain what your vision here is.
So, the international restaurant is what it is. It's been updated several times, but it's still always had the same problem where people don't know. I can't tell you how many people walk under that and have no idea there's a restaurant above them. I mean, I would say 85, 90% have no idea. And the issue that was there, according to you, because this was before my time actually, up until like the early 90s when they closed it, was everybody went go out into the park. And even when the international restaurant was a big deal, they uh, they wouldn't go back to I Street to eat. So it was never that busy because of that. So you and I have had several discussions about, we need another indoor restaurant at Kings Island, and then the Grand Pavilion at Cedar Point comes up. Well, I've always had this thought of like they could renovate that to be like the Grand Pavilion, make it a couple floors high, but what's gonna attract people there is you'll have, like, rooftop seating and bars and stuff. That way, people walking by will absolutely know that there's a restaurant there, and so you'd actually probably wanna have, like, the egress and stuff a lot easier too, like outdoor staircases to go up and so on, rather than having them hidden. There's a bunch of different things you could
Yeah.
do, but, nonetheless, it'll be open for Winterfest when they do it.
The one thing about
I just added
Winterfest,
that to the lore.
yeah, the one thing that worked for Winterfest, yeah, during the summer season, it was always a challenge going back to 1973 when it opened. The guests usually didn't come back to International Street until they were on their way out. So
Mm,
they were going to eat at the Columbia Palace. If they were in Rivertown, they had different restaurants in Coney. They had, what's now Action Zone. There were some things over there. So there were Planet Snoopy, so there was, you rarely did guests want to walk all the way back up to the front gate. Um, but during Winterfest, going back to the first year in 1982, everything was kind of confined around International Street. So everybody was in that area. And it's the same thing with Winterfest now, with the ice skating, and you've got the shops, and you've got, the shows and the bandstand. And it really is, and the roving characters, merriment characters. So that is now a focal point of where guests are, is International Street during Winterfest. So there's a better opportunity for people to want to go check it out. It's dark, 5:30, 6 o'clock, so people look up and want to know what's in the windows there because it's lit up.
yeah.
So people start asking that question, right around 5:30 or 6, like what's up there. So I think the opportunity was there. Hopefully they look at that and it's something that they want to backpedal on a little bit and maybe open it up. They can always change their mind and do that, or maybe next year it becomes more of a piece of the Winterfest experience, is the opportunity to have a meal up there, because it is something that a lot of guests do look forward to at that time of the year.
Yeah, it would be nice. I mean, just to spitfire ideas of how to make it more successful. One thing that comes to mind is if you're served it in the app or on the website, or where you can
Hmm.
pre-purchase a ticket or whatever, that might create some awareness for it. You don't necessarily have to. You don't want to fall into the trap of you have to have a reservation, because then people show up and be like, "Well, I don't have a reservation. I'm not going." But if you could at least make people aware, they go on the website like, "Hey, Winterfest is here. Do you want a very special view of the parade?" And so, I mean, I don't see what part of this wouldn't sell. You're going to get a percentage of the people that are like, "I've got a meal plan I can eat for free. I'll eat my meatloaf burger in the cold," that kind of thing, and that's fine. But this is only 110 people at a time or so. You're certainly going to find that many people that want to do this. And you definitely see it for New Year's Eve. That sells out within a few hours.
Yeah, you mentioned mobile app, so switching gears a little bit, the Six Flags just kind of relaunched the mobile apps. They're all
Mhm.
all under one roof right now. What is your initial thoughts on the mobile app?
I don't know what they've been doing for the past 6 months. First of all, the mobile app is almost identical to what we had before. It's just covers all the parks. And you and I have been sending each other screenshots back and forth of misspellings, graphics covering words. I don't see any functionality on here that's different from what I had before. But there is a little bit of hope because there is an order food option, which
Yes,
is
I saw
grayed
that.
out, and it may never turn blue, so it may never happen. But we know the infrastructure's there. Now, one thing that was cool, I had about a million people text me about this, is you used to be able to check the wait times of the app, like of the parks when you weren't in the park. They figured that one out real quick. Could
Yeah.
have put a kibosh on that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So yeah, so they've
a
already
lot,
made it to where you can't do that.
yeah, like looking at well, it says log in to check wait times. There was a lot of problems with logging in and stuff too. Now, a lot of this stuff is kind of like it's a new app or whatever. Like I understand that, but I think that part of the problem is the functionality really hasn't changed, and they've pushed this back over the course of a year.
Well, it's
So
supposed to come out in March. I remember that was a big deal. Then it was
yeah,
we're going to launch the new app in July. That didn't happen. I think when you look at, it still has a lot of things that aren't functioning great. I think sometimes, it gets launched before they're ready. It's better to be
mhm,
a day late than a day early, because the initial impressions, have been that it's got some issues with it. A lot of people, their information not transferring over. I know with my attempts the last couple of days, I can't log in. It won't take my email because it says it's an invalid email. But yet on the Kings Island app, it takes my email. It works. Same email, right? Should be the same. So there's some issues with that. Um, the answer I got when I called and just said, "Is there a reason why?" And they just said, "Well, maybe you should just get a different email." I
yeah,
don't
your
want a
email's
different
probably
email.
the problem.
Yeah, I want to use the same email that I've been using for the Kings Island app. So there are some, technical issues in that with it. But what are your thoughts on having all the properties in one app?
Um, so I'm torn on it because on one hand, for people that travel to a lot of parks, it's incredibly convenient. On the other hand, it's looking increasingly like I'm gonna have to choose Kings Island every time I open the app, which is exactly what I didn't want. Now, again, this is still a soft launch because the
Right.
park, as of this recording, has at least Kings Island has not been open with this app yet. So maybe they're gonna frantically fix a lot of these problems over the next couple days, but it's still not there yet. We kind of discussed this though, like when they originally pushed back the app, and we debated whether or not they were going to launch it in 2025. And I even kind of said, if they launch it during WinterFest, where it's less people and it's less parks, and they work out the kinks, that's probably like a best case scenario as far as like a mass appeal thing. So, ride wait times and stuff like that aren't terribly important for WinterFest, but I know that people, I haven't seen this. I don't know enough offhand to be able to fact check this, but I know with the old app, people were saying that all the show times were a day late. So it would show Sunday's times on Monday and so on. And I saw some people online posting that they were having the same problem with this. So hopefully that gets fixed because the show times are what's important. See, I just loaded up the app and it had me choose Kings Island again, and all I did was set down my phone. That is a little irritating.
Yeah, I saw somebody posted the other day that they looked at the app for shows and it said no shows, but yet they walked
Mhm.
in and there's what's the dickens going on. So it's a source of frustration for guests, is that the essential parts of the app that guests want to use, like the show times, it's not always accurate, or it's a day late, like you said, with it. So hopefully they get that fixed. But we're at this point, it's December already, when this
Mhm.
relaunched. So why not just wait until January and work out all the kinks so it's ready to go in the spring when the park's open? There was no reason that they had to do it. They've got very few parks now open with a winter event. So I don't think it was that crucial that they had to push it out right now.
I wonder if they pushed it out to intentionally use this as a beta test with people, with guests, which I get that. But at the same time, like, if there's functionality problems, I completely understand that. What bothers me is when it's like misspellings, like stuff that they should have checked, you know?
Mhm.
Um, but here,
Yeah,
let me
there's a
see if
lot
I
of
can
that.
get this thing. I want to show you something funny that I found. Um, Okay, so we're mirroring my phone right now. Isn't technology
Mhm.
great?
Yeah.
So lighting ceremony. You look in the upper left hand corner, family. Tinker's Jingle Bell Ball, family. It's Christmas, Charlie Brown, family. Mistletoe's family. Holly Holiday, family. Ice Covers, family. Songs Nativity, family. Swinging into Christmas, family. WinterFest, Wonderland Parade, family. Yuletide Follies, family. Jingle Jazz, family. What the Dickens? That's not appropriate for anybody. They have a red mark like they're supposed to type, like
Yeah,
they were
something in
supposed to
there.
put something in there. But yeah, what the Dickens is not appropriate for any. They should put like 17 plus or something. I think
That
that'd be
was
funny.
one
By the
that
way,
quietly came back too, because they weren't really when they sent out their release about all the different shows and that this year. That wasn't on it,
I'll do you one
and
better. It wasn't on the website or on the app. I really wanted to see it because I heard that there were certain groups and podcasts and stuff that are getting shout outs during the show. And I mean, I like the show anyway. I'd recommend it. We'll talk about that in another episode. But I couldn't find the show times because they just weren't on the app. They're clearly on there now, but they were never updated. So the only reason we knew was because they had put up the sign during the bonus weekend. Crazy.
yep. So Ryan, it's the holiday season, and there's a lot of fans out there that are Tower Topics fans. And if there's one on your holiday shopping list, you've got some things for them.
Yeah, just a couple of recommendations from our store, which can be found at store.towertopics.com. These are some of my favorites. This is the one you really like. It's the old script logo, but it says Tower Topics. I've got this in maroon personally, and I get a lot of compliments about it. But
I like that either maroon or I think black. It looks good on black.
mhm.
But I really like the that's just a retro look. It's plain, it's simple, and it works.
Yeah. Here's the other one. This is one of our alternative logos. This one here, it was a friend of mine designed the logo and, just really wanted something different in the shop. And this is one of our top selling ones. So I can't say it's an unofficial logo. We don't really have official or unofficial anything, but this is something that they supplied and people seem to really eat it up. I think it's really cool.
I like that one.
All right, and then I love Tower Topics. Now, be careful where you wear this. This might put Mickey as a target somewhere. But
Yeah,
I thought
that's
it
a
was unfair.
nice looking shirt. I've seen a couple people with this already, so it's nice. But it's the one thing about it too, these items when you make the purchase, you get it pretty quick.
Yeah, I bought mine on a Sunday, and I got the stuff by Wednesday because I was able to showcase it on the show. So it's pretty fast. It comes out of California if you're in the United States. So pretty nice.
And I've got a couple of people that are fans of the show that I'm going to buy a couple of items for. So it's that time of the year. If you got Kings Island fans that are fans of Tower Topics, I think this makes a nice gift idea for you.
Hmm.
All right. Hey, Ryan, I don't know if you noticed or, were aware, but Holiday World, they've announced the dates for Hollywood Nights 2026. So it's returning to Holiday World on May 29th and 30th. The theme this year, Mean Thrills. They always have a lot of fun with their different themes and that with it. But they're going to have codes that are going to be distributed on Wednesday, December 10th at 11 a.m. So you get a code, and then that allows you the opportunity to purchase tickets and that for this event. But go to their website Wednesday, December 10th at 11 a.m. Central Time if you're interested in attending this event. I've had a great time there the past couple of years. I know you went this past year with me, and just a fun event. So them having this out there, the dates out there, it begs the question. So when's Coaster Stock at Kings Island?
Think it'll go head to head with it again?
I think that that would be an idiotic decision to do that. They tried it last year. Somebody wanted to show that they could sell out an event against an established event, and all that didn't happen. They claimed sellout, didn't happen. Anyone that was there knows that there was, a couple hundred less people than they normally had at Coaster Stock. It would not be the smart thing to do. They thought they would get people to leave Holiday World to come to Coaster Stock. Didn't happen. So I would pick a different time to do it. You don't want to make the coaster enthusiasts have to choose. That was one of the reasons why it was always on the dates that it was before. When it first started, it wasn't competing with anything else out there. It wasn't competing with Hollywood Nights. It wasn't competing with the Ace Spring Conference. It wasn't competing with Coaster Mania at Cedar Point. A couple weeks after Coaster Mania was always the Ace National Convention. So there was just, here's the weekend that we can do this where nobody has to pick and choose.
Yeah.
And it worked that way. But when you go head to head with another event, whether it is Hollywood Nights or you try to go head to head with Coaster Mania, a spring event, you just don't want to do that. You want to try to stay clear and not have conflict there and make people choose. And I think that works best for the parks. It works best for the coaster community when you can, attend them all.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had a really good time. I mean, I always had fun at Coaster Stock. I haven't been to Coaster Stock in a couple of years, but you and I went to Hollywood Nights last year. Honestly, it was kind of like, I went there and I was like, this will be fun, but man, what am I going to do for 2 days? And it was like, I couldn't get enough of it. It was especially connecting with people and saying hi and meeting all these people and so on. Really,
the camaraderie,
really
camaraderie was off the charts. With all the
Mhm.
other coaster enthusiasts. The food was really good. Very hard to beat those trimless rides on the Voyage. I mean, that's just a
Oh,
whole new level when you get. I mean, there's the Voyage, and then there's the Voyage with the trims off. I mean, just a whole another level, and just a fantastic event. They do a great job with that. So hopefully, there's not a conflict this year where it's scheduled on the same day. You also have to wonder. You have a new sheriff now involved with Coaster Stock. It started with me, then it was, the Kings Island team, Chad Showalter, Elizabeth Nato doing it. And then, now Tony Clark oversees Kings Island. He is the one that now oversees Coaster Mania at Cedar Point. He had different ideas once he took over Coaster Mania than what Brian Edwards had done in terms of how many days it is or who can attend, who can't attend. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the guidelines are, for Coaster Stock 2026 at Kings Island, should it return.
yeah. My prediction is I think it'll still be 2 days. I think they'll wait till way too late to announce it, and it'll still be a good event. I hope it doesn't go head to head with Holiday World because that is kind of a disservice.
Do you
And there's
think it
plenty
will
of weekends.
be? Do you think it'll still be required that you be a member of one of these like 7 or 8 roller coaster clubs organizations, or do you think it'll be open to everybody like Coaster Mania now is?
For now, I think you will like the next year or two because I think Tony's not a dumb guy, and assuming that it was his decision with Coaster Mania, I know that the enthusiasts aren't particularly happy about that. If he takes over Kings Island and then all of a sudden Kings Island um, has the same kind of policy, people are going to pin it on him. So if he waits a couple years, he'd be able to be like, it makes sense to do this,
I think
declining
though there's
attendance.
value when you're a park and you make it, and in the Holiday World, with Hollywood Nights, it's this way where you have to be a member of one of the approved coaster clubs or organizations to
Mm,
attend. I think it adds value to being a member to those clubs. That's why a lot of people join these clubs so they can participate in these events. If it's open to everybody, it's just really like a glorified Gold Pass event then.
yeah, and then it comes down to the question of why are you doing the event in the first place if it's open to everybody? If
Right.
this is something where you're trying to connect with enthusiasts for one reason or another, that's great. But you're really
Yeah.
sacrificing
You're
that if
trying to
you.
get people too who normally would not visit your park, that they're from
Mhm,
other parts of the country and they're coming in, and then that word
right.
of mouth about your park travels after they've had a great time at your event. But when you open it to everybody, it kind of narrows it down, and it quickly, it'll reach the capacity really quick. But it's mostly the locals now that are going to this, the ones that are always there for early ride time anyway and stuff. So it's not really uh, bringing new people to your park, or people that are only visiting once every summer, specifically for that event. So I think there's a lot to say, a lot of advantages to maintaining that you have to be a member of one of these clubs to do it. Yeah, it adds value for the membership, and there's a lot of value, I think, for the parks when you're doing it that way.
Yeah. But wait, there's more. because we have a meetup coming up. It has nothing to do with Hollywood Nights, but that's my transition. December 20th. I'm super excited about this because we
It'll be a lot of
now,
fun.
we always, yeah, it'll be a great time. Every time we've done a meetup, it's been awesome. We did Entertainment Junction, God rest his soul. We did Circus Grove. We did one for Grand Carnival for the parade a couple years ago. But
Scene 75.
the yeah, Scene 75. We did the one for the last round of Boo Blasters. I wasn't there, but you were. It was all dawn, all day long. But now that we have the agenda, we're going to post this in our
It is,
social
yeah. There's
media
a
groups
Facebook
and
group.
stuff.
Yeah, there is
Right.
there's an event in the Facebook group that has been created, and some have already gone on there saying that they're going. Some have said maybe with that, but it has the itinerary mapped out in the Facebook group. So if you're not a member of the Tower Topics Facebook group, go ahead and try to join. But Ryan, go ahead and run down the itinerary.
Yeah, so this looks awesome. I appreciate you putting this together, Don. We're going to start off the day right with What the Dickens at 5 o'clock. The cool thing about, first of all, What the Dickens is hilarious. It's such a hidden gem. I'm so glad it's back. But that show's really short. It's like 15, 20 minutes long. So you do What the Dickens at 5. You're still going to make the tree lighting at 5:30. After the tree lighting, we've got Tinker's Jingle Ball at 6:30. You and I have not even discussed that show as of this recording. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on that. Ice Carvers at 7:30. We're going to meet at the Grand Carousel at 8 o'clock, do a group photo, and then ride it. We'll watch the WinterFest Wonderland Parade at 8:30. And then we'll ride the 12 Days of Christmas train ride at 9 o'clock to wrap up the evening. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We love like putting names to faces and reconnecting with people that, we've seen over time. So really
Yeah, and you
appreciate
don't
anyone who
have
can come
to
out.
stick to this whole itinerary either. This is to let you know where we're going to be when, so you can kind of come and go throughout the night. So if you want to, ride Mystic Timbers and the Racer and do ice skate, whatever you want to do, you have the ability to do all of those kind of things. But it's just if you want to catch up with the group and everything, this will give you the itinerary, let you know where the Tower Topics meetup is when during the night.
Yep.
And we
And we've
have
got a photo
more.
contest. Yeah,
We
Don, tell
do.
them all about it.
I'm excited about the photo contest because as picturesque as WinterFest is, it is, the opportunity for some great photo opportunities. So we wanted to create the first Tower Topics photo contest. We'll do this every year during WinterFest. So we want you to do show us your best shot from this year's event. It has to be from this year's WinterFest. So you get a chance to win what we're going to call a mystery box of Kings Island goodies. A lot of it's going to come out of my archive of little things that I have around my house that my wife would love for me to get rid of. So there's a mystery box of Kings Island goodies. It's going to go to the winner. Plus you'll get a Tower Topics t-shirt, which is the old traditional Tower Topics shirt. I think it's the blue one that's going to go in this box. So how to enter? Very easy. You must be a subscriber to Tower Topics on YouTube. Very easy to do. Doesn't cost you any money to just be a subscriber. Just hit that subscribe button. You want to email your favorite 2025 WinterFest photo and a screenshot showing that you're a Tower Topics subscriber to host, HOSTS, host at towertopics.com. You put enter me in the email subject line, 1 entry per person. You must be at least 18 years of age. The deadline to do this is December 21st. And Tower Topics fans will begin to vote on the 4 finalists that are selected by a panel that Ryan and I will consult with to find the 4 best shots. And starting December 22nd, on the Facebook group, you'll be able to cast your vote for which one you think should be the winner of our first photo contest.
Yeah, our first photo contest. Now, I will tell you, we did release this information early enough that I was there on Saturday when that snow was coming down during the parade. I feel like those people might have a leg up because I took so many pictures and video. It was the most picturesque I've ever seen Kings Island. But yeah, we'd love to hear everybody. Hosts at towertopics.com. Enter me. Remember the parameters Don gave you. A screenshot of your subscription as well as your photo from this year. Hey, let's move on to a segment we like to call Buy or Sell. This buy or sell was actually sent in from Tyler from Dayton, Ohio. He said, buy or sell, looking 10 plus years down the line, 4 new themed areas will open, specifically Action Zone getting revamped and split into 2. The Vortex plot becomes a new area, potentially annexing Windseeker, uh, Jukebox, and the Stunt Coaster. And Area 72 receives a retheme following the removal of Flight of Fear. Buy or sell?
I'm going to sell. I don't think there'll be 4 new themed areas coming. I think if anything, they could change the name of something, like Oktoberfest became Adventureport, something simple like that. But I don't think they're gonna expand and create 4 new themed areas or anything like that. Flight of Fear being removed. I don't know. I mean, it is getting up there in age. It would it may not have another 10 years in it, but I'm not ready to say that it won't still be around by then. So I'm going to sell on all of this.
Yeah, I don't think Flight of Fear is going to be removed either, because if anything, they have to justify like end of service life versus, declining ridership and stuff. And Flight of Fear does not have declining ridership.
It's been pretty reliable for them.
It has. Now I will say this. The reason why when this came in, it kind of tickled my fancy, as my friend Alex would say, was because I can see them adding 4 new, well, insert number here, number of themed areas, the way that they said it. Because remember, Adventureport, they didn't build anything. They rethemed part of Oktoberfest, but there's still Oktoberfest. So now there's Adventureport and Oktoberfest. So on the map, there's an extra area, So I could see them doing that. So with the way that they were doing like the micro sections in the past, Adventureport, Camp Snoopy and all that. If they continue that trend, I could absolutely see something like that happening moving forward. I think that would be a way to promote a new ride as immersive experience, whether it's justified or not. I could absolutely see that. So the number 4, I'm not sure about. Removing Flight of Fear, I kind of doubt. I think that they'll keep that around as long as possible. But as far as like cutting things up and making more areas as a result of separation, absolutely, I could see that happening.
All right, Ryan, here's a buy or sell for you.
Okay.
Windseeker gets removed before Flight of Fear.
Oh, buy. Absolutely buy. Windseeker is one big accident away from being removed. I mean, just with you got to think like they built it in California. It didn't meet California's OSHA standards, so they moved it to like Kansas City or something where they don't really care about OSHA as much, I suppose. And then, it had its incidents and stuff. Now it's been semi-reliable. It does take a couple people to operate, and it's down a lot due to weather. So,
and that's going to be a problem that I think they're going to look at. Everyone's time is valuable at, when they're visiting Kings Island, Cedar Point, whatever park they may go to. And you want rides that or if the guest is visiting the park, the expectation is we're going to get to ride that today. And if it is down as much as it is down for, things like the wind, why have it if it's only going to operate, 65, 70, something percent of the time. So I would say, yeah, I've become a big fan of Flight of Fear. I really like what they did this year with the lighting package and everything in the queue and that. So every year I like it just a little bit more, than I did before. So more appreciation for it as time goes on. So I hope it's here for the long run.
I do too. I'll be devastated if they get rid of Flight of Fear. That's my favorite Kings Island ride. As far as like the whole package experience. Mm-hmm. If you've got a listener question or a buy or sell, or if you want to send us feedback, or if you need to get a hold of us, you can send them to hosts@towertopics.com. It's HOSTS at towertopics.com. Your name, the city you're from, as well as your question, comment, concern. We'd love to hear from you. If you don't want to do that, you can send us a text or a voicemail to 513-399-7538. That's 513-399-7538. If you send a text, we may read it. You leave us a voicemail, we might play it on the show. Nonetheless, we'd love to hear from you guys. Well, We're sending you the warmest holiday cheer. It's WinterFest season. It's my favorite time of the year at Kings Island. I'm Ryan. That's Don. This is Tower Topics.